What is up? What is up, YouTube? How y'all doing? Oh, check it out. Without a doubt, we about to see what it's all about. But first of all, I'm at my favorite cousin. I say that to all of them. I'm at my favorite cousin's house. This is my favorite cousin, y'all. I'm over Kim's house, y'all. I want to show y'all. Check this out. All my cousins decorate their houses way better than Uncle Mike decorate. I can't decorate. I ain't no decorator. Check this out, man. I'm gonna take the blur off and put the blur on me so y'all can really see the. Check this out, man. This joint is laid out. I'm trying to get out the way so y'all can see just a little bit. Yeah, that's my bag over there. But man, this house is laid out. It's a gated. It's a gated community, y'all. It's a gated community. What? Go on, cousin. Shout out to cuz. Gated community. Okay, check this out, man. Epstein. I'm upstairs looking at Netflix. He got a Netflix special, so I recorded a little bit of this, man. Y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, baby. I just want to bring y'all something completely different. Watch this right here, y'all. Y'all ain't gonna believe this. Watch this. Let me see. What's up, YouTube, Facebook, and everything? Check this out, man. This is crazy. Watch this.
It was Jeffrey's birthday one. I don't remember what year it was, but I would say it's a good year into our relationship or knowing each other. And he was laughing about the fact that his friend, 3 12-year-old girls that he had purchased from their parents.
On one of defendant Epstein's birthdays, a friend of defendant Epstein sent him 3 12-year-old girls from France who spoke no English for defendant to sexually exploit and abuse. After doing so, they were sent back to France the next day. Isn't that true?
Once again, I'm going to move to strike. Irrelevant, argumentative, harassing.
Harassing.
I would like to answer that question. I really would. However, today, my attorneys have told me I have to assert my Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, and 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution.
You're invoking your Fifth Amendment rights to each of these questions because you know that your answers will incriminate you and you feel that it would result in you being prosecuted for these crimes. Isn't that right?
Objection, argumentative, harassing, and calls for a legal conclusion.
No, in fact, the Supreme Court recently said that the Fifth Amendment right is the...
This is what's wrong with America. That's what's wrong with America right there. Yup, that's what's wrong. Did he say this is irrelevant? Is that what he said?
Isn't that true?
Once again, I'm going to move to strike. Irrelevant, argumentative.
Irrelevant? What? This is... How can you say this is irrelevant? You are... Dude, anyway, how can you say that, man? God. I'll call you back. Anyway, let me make sure we in focus, man. Bad, but right there. That's Uncle Mike in focus. Check it out, man. All right. I got one more I'm going to play at the end or something, man. This is crazy. Look at this. This dude, the worst of the 20,000 Epstein's emails. 20,000 emails, okay. I mean, what they did was they went back for years and years of all his emails. So it ain't like he sent 20,000 emails in like a couple of months. Now this is 20,000, like if you go back to the beginning of your emails, you know what I'm saying? So y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Let's check this bad boy out.
All right, today I want to go over the 20,000 emails that were recently subpoenaed and released from the Epstein estate because everyone is talking about this right now with good reason. And I want to pick out the 21 most interesting, damaging, and shocking revelations because the story of Jeffrey Epstein, his ties to Donald Trump, his level of global influence, and the implications it all has for the country and the world has now been blown wide open. Let me start off a little bit differently here. Rather than simply diving in right away, I want to begin with a sort of index glossary of names. There's a pretty hefty number of people that we need to be familiar with before comprehending these emails. So at the very start, right now, I want to go through one by one and explain who these people are so that if at any point someone doesn't remember or I say a name that they don't recall or aren't familiar with, they can come back to the beginning and find out who that person is, why they matter, etc. Here we go. First, obviously, is Jeffrey Epstein. Financier, trafficker, well-connected socialite, and the main subject of the video. He was arrested in 2006, again in 2019, and he died under suspect circumstances in 2020. If you want to know more, there's a bunch of prior videos in a playlist down below, but yeah, I'm sure pretty much everyone is already familiar with who he is. Next is Ghislaine Maxwell. Maxwell was Epstein's right-hand woman, if you will. She helped facilitate all of his activities, participated directly in the trafficking and the abuse, resulting in a conviction. But after a special interview with the Deputy Attorney General of the United States, she was moved to a minimum security holding facility with special treatment as well, and is now allegedly seeking clemency from President Donald Trump.
Boo! Boo! She was right there. She was right there, man. A lady. Letting this man abuse other people. Oh my God. Boo!
Obviously, logically, Donald Trump is next. Pretty sure everyone already knows who he is. But his wife, Melania, is also a kind of important figure because she's currently embroiled in a potential lawsuit with an author named Michael Wolff after threatening him with a $1 billion defamation suit in an effort to force retractions on some of the claims that he made about her and Jeffrey Epstein. Michael Wolff, as we just said, an author who wrote extensively about Epstein and conducted a number of interviews with him, supposedly something like 100 hours of footage, is a journalist and author closely connected to the Epstein story, who has not only made explosive claims about things he allegedly saw, but also embedded himself in the controversy by targeting President Trump repeatedly. Moving on, we have Landon Thomas Jr., a New York Times journalist who is also relevant to the situation, highly. But I also think it's worth mentioning that from 1994 to 1998, Landon Thomas was an asset manager at Morgan Stanley. He's not just a journalist, he's also a finance guy. Next up is Steve Bannon, former chief strategist at the White House during the first 7 months of Trump's 2016 presidency, which is very important. Then we have Catherine Rumler, former White House counsel to Barack Obama, 2011 to 2014, and Larry Summers, former Secretary of the Treasury, Director of the Economic Council, and close personal friend of Jeffrey Epstein. Still not done, there's Bill Clinton, former president, Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, and then Linda Stone, who is a former...
Now, I gotta say this. When I was watching that special, they done mentioned, I done seen 3 things when they said Bill Clinton was 100% at that daggone island. The electric operator, I'm gonna show it at the end. Show it at the end. He said it. He said, yeah, I saw Bill Clinton. They got pictures of him talking to Epstein. You can't tell where they at though. It's just an office type of picture. And what tripped me out is I'm like, come on, dude. Somebody had to be on the goddamn cotton picking island. You got that whole island built, that big overgrown, all that stuff on that island. And ain't nothing on it. Nobody been there. But the people that work there, the pool cleaners and the electrician dude that's doing the Wi-Fi and the telecommunications and stuff, and he quit. He quit, y'all.
And close personal friend of Jeffrey Epstein. Still not done, there's Bill Clinton, former president, Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, and then Linda Stone, who is a former Apple and Microsoft executive who reportedly idolized Epstein. Her name comes up in the emails as well. Almost done. Last 3 names. Tom Barrack, or Barrick, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, private equity and real estate guy who's done extensive fundraising for President Trump, also serving as the senior advisor on the 2016 Trump presidential campaign, chairman of his inaugural committee, and now current United States ambassador to Turkey. There's Vitaly Churkin, former Russian ambassador to the United States. And lastly, Thorbjorn Jagland, former Prime Minister of Norway and Secretary General of the Council of Europe. There's a few more names here and there, but those are the ones that we need to fully understand, because the 21 most interesting or damaging emails specifically refer to, come from, or are exchanged with one of these people. With that fully out of the way, let's dive right in. 20,000 emails have been released by House Democrats and House Republicans, in a complete mess, by the way. The formatting is terrible. It's just, they're all over the place. But those emails are now being dissected by the internet at large. Thankfully, there is a searchable database that was put together by Courier, which I'll link down below for anyone interested. So the process of finding and sorting out relevant versus irrelevant emails becomes much easier. And after doing precisely that, these are the top 21 things that I believe are most interesting, damaging, and shocking from all of them.
Here we go.
Number 21. This is an email from Jeffrey Epstein to Landon Thomas Jr., New York Times journalist, in 2015, after Landon Thomas said that everyone was coming to him thinking that he had juicy info on Epstein and Trump. Quote, "Read the BuzzFeed Read My Airplane Logs and Hawaiian Tropic contest, / have them ask my houseman about Donald almost walking through the door, leaving his nose print on the glass as young women were swimming in the pool, and he was so focused he walked straight into the door." End quote. Not the most salacious thing in the world, to be honest, distracted by young women in a pool, but I figure we might as well start slow at the beginning. Number 20. Contained in the very same email thread about how people assumed there was juicy info, Epstein also says, quote, "Would you like photos of Donald and girls in bikinis in my kitchen?" End quote. Still nothing explicitly wrong with that per se, but certainly a step up in severity. That is, Epstein offering ambiguous or potentially compromising photos of Trump to a reporter. Number 19. This is where things get much more complicated. Donald Trump has long maintained that he split away from Jeffrey Epstein entirely in the early 2000s. There's been multiple contradicting reasons directly cited for that breakup, let's call it, but all of them occur between 2004 and 2007. At least, that's what we've been told. In an email thread from an unknown redacted sender as of 2017, a visitor was on their way to Epstein's house, notably the second floor of Epstein's house, which is where prominent victim Virginia Giuffre specifically indicated the massage tables were, and the bedrooms with cameras were documented in evidence photographs, aka the place where abuse occurred. This unknown person went to meet him as part of an exchange where they ask for a door code, while Epstein says that the house is more private for a meeting. And then suddenly, quote, "I'm at the door, but I will wait for my time. I don't want to come early to find Trump in your house." End quote. And keep in mind, this is 2017, nearly a decade after the two had supposedly parted ways. Number 18. This is an exchange allegedly between Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein. Reading, quote, from Epstein, "Prince Andrew and Trump today. Too funny." Bannon, "Recall Prince Andrew's accuser came from Mar-a-Lago." Further down, "Can't believe no one is making you the connective tissue," referring to Epstein. To which Epstein then replies, "F and B only." End quote. Seemingly speaking in code, I guess. I'm not entirely sure what to make of that one, but I certainly thought it was interesting. Number 17. This is an exchange between Kathy Rumler, former White House counsel to Barack Obama, and Jeffrey Epstein in 2014. Quote from Epstein, "You need to talk to boss." Rumler responds, "Agreed, but I need to be prepared to say yes before I talk to him." Epstein again, "Understood. It comes down to high risk/reward, low risk/reward, professional, emotional, and financial." After which Rumler responds, "Most girls do not have to worry about this crap." And Epstein says, "Girls? Careful, I will renew an old habit." After which he lists off some of the world's most powerful businessmen and politicians, saying, "You are a welcome guest at any. Also, if you think there are interesting people in town, everyone here for Climate Summit, Clinton, Security Council, holy shit, I'm on or next 30 minutes, end quote. One thing I should mention right now before going further, these emails are absolutely full of typos. Epstein and multiple of the people that he regularly corresponded with had precisely zero regard for proper grammar, so if it sounds like near gibberish at times, that's just what the emails look like. Anyway, careful, I might renew an old habit in reference to girls. is certainly a little bit suspect when it comes to the most prolific abuser in human history. Number 16. This is another exchange between Rumler and Epstein on a thread titled Donald Trump's High Crimes and Misdemeanors. Rumler says, quote, "It makes no difference whether it was his money. Issue is failure to disclose. Plus, fact that he has lied his ass off about it makes clear that he knew it was illegal." To which Epstein responds, "You see, I know how dirty Donald is. My guess is that non-lawyers, New York biz people have no idea what it means to have your fixer flip." End quote. That particular thread is probably about the criminal cases that Trump faced in New York, presumably. But the idea of Jeffrey Epstein saying, "I know how dirty Donald is," should make even the most devout supporters raise an eyebrow. Just to hammer that point home, number 15 is an exchange between Larry Summers and Jeffrey Epstein in which Epstein says, quote, "Recall I've told you I have met some very bad people, none as bad as Trump. Not one decent cell in his body. So yes, dangerous," end quote. Ideally, at this point, the gravity of the situation is beginning to present itself, but we are truly, genuinely only just beginning to scratch the surface of how bad this is getting. Number 14. This is another chain between Epstein and a redacted correspondent, which says, quote, "It will all blow over. They're really just trying to take down Trump and doing whatever they can to do that." To which Epstein replies, "It's wild because I am the one able to take him down." End quote. Let me pose a question here. Why is it that Epstein, at the end of 2018, shortly before he was arrested the second time and then died under suspect circumstances, why is it that he's explicitly saying, "I'm the one able to take him down," about the sitting president of the goddamn country? Just food for thought. Now,
I know why. That's why they got rid of him. They either did two things. They either offed him because they didn't want him to talk about all this Donald Trump stuff because he know deep stuff. Forget the emails. Damn them emails, baby. He know all kinds of stuff. Or they let him out. Return to your little island. You keep your mouth shut, we keep our mouth shut, and we'll figure something out later on. But right now, you are gone. You, Tupac, Elvis, all y'all gone. You can live your life, give you one or two little girls, be gone. Yeah, that's what they did. For real, for real. Here we go.
for an even crazier one. Number 13. How many people remember this right here? The weird Bill Clinton painting that Epstein had with a blue dress and red high heels? Anyone? Okay, well, keeping in mind that this painting was owned by Epstein and hanging in his Manhattan home, let's take a look at this particular email thread between Jeffrey Epstein and Mark Epstein, his brother, in 2018, which says, quote, "How are you doing? All good, Bannon with me. Ask him if Putin has the photos of Trump blowing Bubba. And I thought I had Cirrus. You and your boy Donnie can make a remake of the movie Get Hard. You mean Donnie T," end quote. For the sake of clarity right now, just in case anybody didn't pick up on this, he doesn't say if Putin has photos. He says if Putin has the photos, implying their definitive existence. And Bubba, by the way, is one of Bill Clinton's nicknames. I have absolutely no idea what these emails actually mean, but I can certainly see why the Trump administration is so very desperate to stop the release of the Epstein files. This is a nightmare for them. Number 12, a simple email from Michael Wolff, quote, "There's an opportunity to come forward this week and talk about Trump in such a way that could garner you great sympathy and help finish him. Interested?" End quote. Number 11. This one is with Linda Stone in September of 2015 and says, quote, "Wondering if the fact that so many people are on antidepressant, ADHD, and other drugs is what makes Trump appealing and his flaws invisible. Will you have a cabinet position?" She's asking Jeffrey Epstein if he'll have a fucking cabinet position with Trump in 2015. After which she also says, "Do you think he can win? Speak, please. What do you think?" To which he replies, "Too far to tell. We will know much more come October 15th. But then, after she asks, "You still in Paris?" Epstein says, "Trump Tower." Keep in mind, we have been repeatedly told to believe that the two separated completely sometime in the early 2000s. But if that's true, Why would Epstein's close friend be asking him whether or not he'll have a cabinet position while he stays at Trump Tower? Number 10. This exchange is between a Qatari businessman, I believe, named Jabor Y, and Epstein, where he says, quote, "In Paris today, headed for New York. Trump gives many new things to do," end quote. Once again, casting a very long, very deep shadow over the idea that these two men parted ways a decade earlier and never spoke again. There's a lot of corroboration that that tale, that story, that talking point that they've been giving for like 20 years is not true. Number 9. Once again, Epstein and this Jabor Y person, quote, "Sorry, I just checked your email. What time you will leave to the airport? I hope you are in a better place now than New York. Sorry, yes, Palm Beach, all Trump people here," end quote. Again, 2016, all Trump people in Palm Beach, but somehow the president knows nothing about him and never spoke to him since 2004. None of it adds up. Number 8. This is between Epstein and Tom.
It's called a lie. It's called a liar. The man is lying. Y'all know he's lying. Everybody in the world can lie, but Trump can't lie. Everybody in the world can lie, but Epstein can't lie. Shoot. Only person in the world don't lie is Uncle Mike. Even when I'm lying, I'm telling the truth. Here we go. It's a lie, man. That's what it is.
But somehow the president knows nothing about him and never spoke to him since 2004. None of it adds up. Number 8. This is between Epstein and Tom Barrack or Tom Barack, however you say that. Closely connected fundraiser and senior advisor to Trump's campaign. Just keep that in mind. This thread is from 2016. Quote, "Hope you are well. Photos look good. FYI, I receive many calls a week about both Donald, beauty contest, Mar-a-Lago, etc., and Clinton from reporters. Less so recently with Clinton, but my answers are always, I have nothing to say, or I try to ignore altogether. A few times I've been ambushed on the street with questions, but I am more careful now." Followed by, "Send photos of you and child. Make me smile." Sure, that could be innocent. Send a few wholesome family photographs, but A, this is Jeffrey Epstein that we're talking about right now, and B, this is communication about Epstein refusing to answer incriminating questions between him and Trump's own senior advisor in 2016. 7. Good old Landon Thomas comes back around here with an email exchange that appears to be warning Epstein, reading, quote, "He is digging around again. Not clear if it's another book or expanded paperback version. Was asking me all sorts of questions about why you hired Ken Starr. I told him I had no idea. I think he is doing some Trump-related digging too. Anyway, for what it's worth," end quote. Why on earth is a New York Times journalist warning Jeffrey Epstein and giving him a heads up that someone is looking into him and Trump? Why is that happening? And why is that happening at that time during that year? Number 6, Landon Thomas to Jeffrey Epstein, quote, "He is scaring the shit out of me now. He could well tank the global economy. Can Barack talk sense to him anymore? Maybe it's time for you to jump in now. Given how he is throwing caution to the wind in such epic fashion, why wouldn't he take your call? Give it a shot." To which Epstein replies, "He feels alone and is nuts. I told everyone from day one, evil beyond belief mad, and most thought I was speaking metaphorically. It's obvious he could crack. Stormy Daniels, lies after lies after lies," end quote. The world's most notorious sex trafficker, okay, directly referring to the sitting president as evil beyond belief. Number 5, inexplicably, apparently emailed to himself from another account he controlled, Epstein sends a very long list of names. Rothschild, Rumler, Churkin, Schumer, Rockefeller, some names we know, some names we don't, across a wide range of political affiliations and business sectors. But that email is titled List for Bannon Steve, and it was sent in June of 2019. 1 month later, Epstein faced his second arrest. I don't know what that list is for. I don't know all the people that are on it, right? I don't recognize all of these names, but I can tell you that this is a tiny little fraction of the files that are being withheld from the public, and that the level of discrepancy between what we now see in black and white correspondence versus what the current administration has been incessantly claiming is unignorable. They are not telling the truth. Number 4, now for some of the most damning things, okay? In a 2018 email thread between Epstein and Thorbjorn Jagland, we can see, quote, I think you might suggest to Putin that Lavrov can get insight on talking to me. Vitaly Churkin used to, but he died. After which Epstein continues later, Churkin was great. He understood Trump after our conversations. It's not complex. He must be seen to get something. It's that simple, end quote. Let's get something straight right now, okay? This is email evidence in 2018 of Jeffrey Epstein, who has repeatedly claimed explicitly to hold compromising information about sitting President Donald Trump, talking to the former Norwegian Prime Minister, and saying that he coached Russia on how to handle Donald Trump. I don't care who you are or what politics or loyalty or affiliations you have. That's a fucking problem. Number 3. These last 3 are some of the most common. They're the ones that mainstream media have been fixating on, I guess, the most. But there's a very good reason for that. From Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell, quote, I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Virginia spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned, police chief, etc. I'm 75% there. To which Maxwell replies, I've been thinking about that, end quote. Number 2, email to...
You know, everybody talking about that. The dog that didn't bark. The dog that didn't bark is Trump. Arf, arf. Yeah. That's crazy, man. But you barely knew him. Then Trump had a nerve to say, y'all still talking about the Epstein files? That's old. That's all that stuff is boring. Yeah, that's right. Deflect. Tell everybody it's not boring. But we know that's the most juiciest information in the world. The most juiciest. I'll call you back, man. I'll call you back.
Michael Wolff, quote, blank, Wolf. Virginia Giuffre, we know that because of context now. Blank worked at Mar-a-Lago. She was the one that accused Prince Andrew. Trump said he asked me to resign. Never a member ever. Of course he knew about the girls, as he asked Ghislaine to stop, end quote. And then lastly, number 1, the big cheese, from Michael Wolff to Jeffrey Epstein at the end of 2015, quote, I hear CNN planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you, either on air or in scrum afterwards. Epstein replies, if we were able to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be? Why the fuck would they be able to craft an answer for him is the real question. And then finally, quote, I think you should let him hang himself if he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the House, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. Or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt. Of course, it is possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy and he's gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime, end quote. Those 21 emails, okay, I'll just let people kind of mull over and unpack those for themselves. Those 21 emails, although in proper context, I am absolutely positive that there's more, let alone the rest of the files that are being suppressed and withheld, but by this overtly corrupt administration. Those 21 email threads, let's call them, are the notable standouts of the latest Epstein document release that I saw. And if you go back across the saga thus far, these emails make it abundantly clear, overwhelmingly clear, that pretty much everyone involved has been lying through their teeth the entire time, and that the truth is absolutely horrific for Donald Trump. Like I said before, this is a developing story across many months that I'll talk about to the bitter end over and over, but for now, that's it. If you want to support the channel, check out the links down below, a special VPN deal, locals and Patreon, channel memberships. I'm trying to move more in that direction as opposed to ad revenue, so check those out if you want to, and more, but I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching, question everything, and have a nice night.
That's what the problem is, man. I'm gonna tell y'all what the problem is. We need a dictator government. We need one person to make all the rules. I'm gonna tell you why. See, they taught us that having a group to make the decision, one person, the president, can't make the decision. And that group of people watch everybody back. You watch my back, I watch your back. The group is millionaires and billionaires that can, you gotta get into the group. So you gotta do dirt in order to get into the group, all this negative stuff. Yeah, man. But if one person dictates, see, they taught us that, now you don't want no dictation. Yeah, let's let them think that dictation is wrong. Let them think that. That way, the group can keep doing bad things, and the group can keep everybody else suppressed. There it is. Yep. Bam. Check this out, man. Y'all got to check this out right here. Here we go. Watch this. This is crazy, man. Watch this.
By yourself. I guess
Wait a
you
minute.
felt you could do whatever you want.
I'm trying to bring this to y'all. I'm sorry, y'all. This is the best way I can do it. This is on Netflix. Maybe I should turn the light on. Turn the light on. And I got to charge my phone up. Check this out. Check this out.
Epstein built little cabanas and beach houses all across the island. The blue roof that is closest to the water was Mr. Epstein's personal residence. And the main house and the guest house, that's where the guests would stay. He's not representative of the people of the Virgin Islands, I can tell you that. But being on an island by yourself, I guess he felt he could do whatever he wanted.
So Epstein's Island was in or part of the Virgin Islands. I didn't know that. I'm at my cousin's house, y'all. So let's continue. Watch this. Watch this. Watch what he say.
The island, that was one of Jeffrey's favorites.
Listen.
To go because it was so isolated. There's no doubt that it was beautiful. It has a nickname, the Pedophile Island, but that wasn't the nickname Jeffrey gave it. It was Little St. Jeff's. That was his nickname for it. But it really is Orgy Island because that's what happened there. That was what that island meant to me.
Damn. Look, y'all. Look.
I started working on the island in 1999 and worked until either the end of 2005 or the start of 2006. I was there for maintenance on Jeffrey Epstein's telecommunications and data equipment. He wanted a private cellular network. Privacy was very important to Jeffrey Epstein. I was on the island probably 100 times. I was ultimately in every single building that existed on the island at that time. And I would say every other month I would see guests on the island, and the guests almost always included young girls. One time I went to the grotto, the little beach as it was coined, and when I walked down, there was a gentleman who was not Jeffrey, and 3 girls. The 3 girls were topless. The gentleman was nude. I left immediately. Sometimes there were other people on the island that were important people. I saw Alan Dershowitz on the island. It was more of a business meeting another time. I saw Bill Clinton sitting with Jeffrey on the living room porch area, which was Jeffrey's favorite spot.
Okay,
I saw
Bill.
no other guests there at that time at all.
Okay, Bill Clinton. That's the 3rd time I done heard your name in this stuff.
Not all the men took part. I have, seen people on the island that came for a lunch or a dinner and they didn't stay very long.
Jeffrey hung out with a lot of powerful and well-known figures, both politically and financially, and British royalty. It's probably around 2004. I saw Prince Andrew. He was at the pool. He
What's
was
this?
with, at that time, an unknown girl to me. She was young. She didn't have any top.
My arm's getting
They were
tired.
engaged in foreplay. He was grabbing her and grinding against her. You tell yourself that you didn't know for sure, and you never really saw anything. But that's just all rationalization.
That's
Jeffrey
bullshit.
Epstein. He was a guy that concealed his deviance very well, but he didn't conceal it that well. One day, pool guys on the island when I get there.
Watch this. Pool
Why
guys.
are you doing this? And I said, I don't know. The money. And he said, do you have any children? And I said, yeah, I have 2 daughters, 13 and 15. And he said, would you let your daughters come to the island? And when he said that, I realized I wouldn't let my 2 children within 5 miles of that man. And I quit the next day. I don't believe Jeffrey Epstein ever regretted a single thing he did in his life. I think that he's one of those kinds of sociopaths that can afford to live out his perversions wanted.
If y'all got Netflix, this is on Netflix. That's a bad island. God dang, boy, I wish I can.
Going, hello, Mr. Epstein, nice to see you again, welcoming you at the airport.
Man.
As if you're some sort of celebrity.
If I can afford an island, I will have all kinds of activities to raise money to help feed the poor. That's what I would do. And the thing about it is, the richer people get, the more they want to do. My phone cut out. Hey, I'm going to get on up out of here, man. We should focus and concentrate more on helping people. If everybody help people, just help somebody, the whole world will be a better place to live. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Y'all tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.